So if you saw the garage organization video a little while back where we moved everything into the shop here, then you know that I mentioned this air compressor. I put it right here, put in that outlet specifically for it to have it right here by the garage door so we could run the line out there, get air to car tires, things like that really easily. But then my brother came over one day and he just like completely changed the way I thought about air compressors. So Alan's suggestion was to take this air compressor and actually just get rid of it. I mean, not like completely, but what we're gonna do is take the air compressor, put it on the other side of that wall, and then it will, one, give us a little bit more space in here, because you can see we're already full up. And then two, it will be a lot quieter whenever the air compressor kicks on. We'll probably still be able to hear it, but not be able to hear it as much with it being behind an insulated wall. So Alan actually did an air compressor line video a little while back where he put some air distribution blocks in his garage, and we're kind of gonna be doing the same thing today, but a little bit different. So we'll be using all this stuff today to distribute the air throughout the garage. And the star of the show is he's gonna be my chromie right here. So this is an air piping system. It's 3/4 of an inch. And it looks like plastic, kind of like text, but it's plastic around an aluminum core and then plastic on the inside too. So this is good for up to 200 PSI, and our air compressor over there is only 155 PSI, so we should be good on that. So the kit also comes with all this stuff you see right here to distribute the air. So these are your air distribution blocks. It's got a hole in the top, a hole in the front, and then a hole in the bottom. And so I kind of made a mistake whenever I ordered these. It said they were for 1/2-inch NPT fittings, and being an idiot, I didn't know what that meant. So on all my tools around the shop, I have this. This is a 1/4-inch NPT fitting, and I thought, oh, 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch, it just means like, you know, the size of the thread, and all I'll have to do is downsize that for it to fit. And the answer is no. So I did order 1/2-inch NPT fitting, and the hole fits in just fine, but the thing is the part that connects right here, it's very much different. It's almost like this is a 1/4-inch, and that is a 1/2-inch. So we're gonna need to work around that, but we got a solution for it. The kit also comes with a nice little cutter thing right here. You've got your connectors. These are straight connectors to go into the box there. You've got angle connectors for whenever you want to make corners. These guys is actually pretty cool. So these go in the bottom of the air distribution block, and then they have a valve, and that can let you drain your water if any water accumulates in your air system right out the bottom. Comes with a bunch of clips to secure it to the wall. And then these right here, these are going to solve our 1/2-inch to 1/4-inch problems. So this is a 1/2-inch NPT to 1/4-inch NPT adapter, and it will allow us to put our 1/4-inch NPT fitting into our 1/2-inch NPT air distribution block. And actually we're gonna be using that guy right there, but like that. We've got a number of whips over here. So these will allow us to go from the air distribution block to whatever. And that whatever is actually these right here. So these are air reels. We've got 2 of them. This one I harvested from the old garage. This one is new. You can see they look really similar. That one's like 10 years old. It's Texan brand. I tried to find another one of those because it's lasted for 10 years. It's been great. But the only one I could find is Lincoln and or SKF. I don't know who actually makes it, but you can see they look really similar. Something tells me the same factory overseas makes them. So hopefully that one does as good as this one right here. It's also interesting to note air and or water hose reel. So we've already begun construction on the greenhouse. My wife was asking me the other day, hey, do they make reels for water like you have for your air hose? And turns out, guess what? She's gonna be getting the exact same thing. And then we also have a number of odds and ends I picked up from Home Depot just because I forgot to order some stuff. This right here, an air regulator. So the air compressor already has an air regulator on it, right? So we're pumping out 155 and we're taking it down to 80 to go through the line. But as I said, we're gonna have 2 air reels. I'm gonna put one over here so it's close to the workbench. I'm gonna put the other one over there so it's close to the driveway so you can get air to your tires and stuff when your car's out there. But what if you don't want them at the same PSI? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an air regulator on each hose reel. That way I can have them at different pressures if I want to. So if you follow me into my office here. Over here, this is where the air compressor is gonna go. Need to move the engine hoist, obviously, but there is an outlet right here. As you can see, the walls are not done yet, so we're gonna be able to pass the air line right through to the first air hose reel that is going to go probably right there. And then for the second one, I thought about putting the air lines in the wall so you would never see them. The thing is, with those connectors and stuff, they use O-rings, and if one of those ever goes bad, I don't wanna have to tear apart the wall to fix it. So I'm actually gonna run them outside of the wall that doesn't really exist yet. We're gonna go up through the attic, poke through somewhere around there, and then route the line over and then down the wall. And since the lines are black, you probably won't be able to see them. In fact, up there right now, there's a whole bunch of wires that you can't see because I painted them all black. So it should blend in, and even though the walls are done in here, I think it's gonna hide pretty well. So that is the plan. I've never worked with this air piping stuff before. It comes with a little cutter that looks exactly like the cutter for PEX, so I'm hoping it's not that hard to cut. I know some people do run airlines with PEX. The thing is, I looked up what they're rated for, and at 73 degrees, they're good for 160 PSI, so we're still under that with the air compressor, but then you go up to 180 degrees, it drops to 100 PSI, and so I'm in Texas, it gets really hot in here. I don't know that we're getting up to 180, but I don't wanna be running 155 PSI through the lines, have it blow, have to do this all over again. And then I know iron lines are another way to do it, but looking at the reviews for this stuff, people who have run both types of systems said this stuff is way easier, so that's what we're going with. So now the only thing left to do is the work, right? So I'm gonna get started routing this up through the wall, and we'll see how it goes. You know, it's always the simple things that should be easy that just don't turn out to be that way. I failed at installing the little fitting. Pickle of your punishment. So they give you this little tool to flare out the ends of the pipe here whenever you're attaching your fitting, whatever it's called. And I thought all you had to do was just kind of, you know, stick it in there and wiggle it open and get it circular. But no, down at the very bottom here, there's these metal tabs, and what they do is they slice the end of the pipe to get it nice and smooth. So whenever you put your fitting in, you don't slice your O-ring open. So I just ruined this O-ring, and now I get to drive an hour to the store and back to get a new one. And that's how to not install an airline system. So cheers, I'll be back in a minute. Well, actually, so they give you 3 of these things, right, to go into the air blocks, but then they give you this 4th one. I have no idea why it's so much bigger. That's like an inch fitting right there, and these ones are only 3/4 of an inch, but it does have the same O-rings inside, so I'm gonna steal one of these. Crisis averted. right, so we are installed. Check it out. That probably took about, I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours, and I did it the hard way. And so the hard way is not using these connections here. I think it'd be a lot easier if you rolled out your pipe got it the right length, then installed it with the connections. But I viewed each of those connections and the O-rings, one of them that I destroyed, as like a potential failure point. So I tried to not use them. It would like right here, right? We could use a 90 right there and it'd probably look a lot cleaner, but that's what, 4 less O-rings we have to worry about going bad. So we just have a continuous piece of pipe. So this stuff, it can bend up to a 6-inch radius. So I just bent it around my bicep and that was more than adequate. So if you start right here, the pipe goes up into what will be an attic one day, through into the shop, comes out right about there, goes down that rafter to the center, runs down the center beam, turns onto the last rafter right there, and then down in the corner. So yeah, we're not in the wall, but it's in the corner. I'm not too mad about it. Our air blocks right here, I had to get some 90s for those and 90s for the hose reel here too. But we've got our valve on here so we can independently control the air pressure on each air reel. And you may notice this one has the hose at the bottom. This one over here has the hose at the top. Thing is, hose reels don't really care. They're circles, they'll be fine. That one's the way it is because I wanted the valve on the right and we were kind of limited on space. So yeah, I'm right-handed. I want to be able to get to the valve like this, and then I still wanted to be able to get my clamps out of here. So if the valve was over there, it would just be in the way. And this one, I did want the same thing, but the thing is, with it down here, whenever I walked in the door, I was feeling like I was going to hit my head on it. So we flipped it, so it's now hanging from up there. You can still get to the valve. It's at kind of an angle, and you can still do your air adjustment. So I know some people are going to say you should have just hung them from the ceiling, and I don't know, maybe. I just didn't. And then going through the walls, so yeah, it's probably not the best, but the problem is with these, with the air distribution blocks, and hang on. So these connections right here, if you were to try to go like directly through the wall, like pretend there's not a 2x6 there, you're gonna have to make your connection like in the wall. There's no way to do it without having to get a wrench in there. So I don't think these are meant to go through the wall. Like you could probably pass this pipe through the wall, but that's about all you could do. But yeah, so over here we've got the air compressor going into that block that charges the entire system. And so one thing you may notice is there's not an air dryer in this system. So a dryer dries your air so you don't get condensation in your lines. The thing is though, I use my air compressor for like nail guns, car tires, my kids' inflatables. There's so many of those. But never really anything that needs a dryer. Whenever I use an HVLP gun, I'll put a dryer in line with the gun. So I'm not too worried about it. And every review I've read on dryers is like, they're good for like 2 years and then they just start leaking everywhere. So again, just another potential failure point that I don't think I need. And so this pipe, it was really a lot like working with PEX. So if you've ever worked with that before, it bends about the same. It cuts with that cutter about the same. I think it's actually maybe a little bit better because since it has the aluminum core in here, whenever you bend it out straight, it has less spring back and it stays straighter, more better. And so the clamps this kit came with, I didn't really wind up using these. I couldn't use them on 2x4s because they were too wide. So I wound up just using cable ties that you can screw in through. So those worked pretty well. They are really all throughout here and you can't see them, I don't think. And it all works technically. So I charged the system last night, pumped it up to 150 PSI, and this morning it's now down at about 90. So we got a leak or two somewhere. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna go, we've got some soap and water in the spray bottle. We're gonna go spray down all of our connections, see if we can see some bubbles, tighten whatever we need to tighten. Still need to install the extended drain valve, and then I don't think we can test this thing out. Yeah, it's been like 2 years since I emptied this thing, but now it'll be easier. So there you have it. Everything works, everything's installed. We've got our Airline's now ready to go to do work or, you know, whatever you're gonna do. So it is quieter with the air compressor in the other room. Granted, it's just like on the other side of this wall, so you can still hear it. If I really wanted it to be quiet, I guess I could put it like outside the shop over underneath the lean-to, or maybe on like the far side of the other garage. And that's what some people do. They just put them outside, build a little hut for them, and then you can't hear them. But I think mine's good enough for now anyways. So until next time, just remember, please, if you're gonna play with your balls, do it safely. See you later. Wonderful sound.
Yeah. That was good.
I hurt my elbow.
Oh no.